Greetings. Welcome to the grammar lesson on gerunds and gerund phrases. In this lesson, you will learn that present participles not only function as adjectives, as in the earlier lesson about participle phrases, but also they can function as nouns. Now note that we focus here on present participles because only present participles, the verbs that end with ing, can function as nouns. In the case of past participles, they always function as adjectives, and they can never function as nouns, as in the case of gerunds. Now let's look at the 5 instances of gerunds in a sentence and how they function as nouns. Now, if you look at the first sentence, which is ironing is her worst house chore. If you look at the present participle, which is ironing, in this instance, ironing functions as a subject of the sentence, and that's its verb. In the second instance, her worst house chore is ironing. Again, the gerund ironing functions as a predicate nominative that follows the linking verb and renames the subject. In the third instance, she dislikes ironing. The function of ironing here is a direct object because it receives the action of the verb directly. But that she dislikes ironing. Again, in the fourth example, she does not believe in ironing. Yes, you guessed it. Ironing here function as object of preposition since it's part of the preposition phrase. Still, in the last example, she gave ironing a last try. If you look at this example and you look at the subject and the verb, that's the subject, that's the verb. So what did she give? She gave a last try. So since try receives the action of giving directly, this is a direct object. To whom did she give the last try? And the action that receives it indirectly, or to whom it is, it's ironing. In this case, ironing is the indirect object. Now we said that gerunds can function as nouns and they can also function as 5 instances of nouns in a sentence: as subjects, as predicate nominatives, as direct objects, as indirect objects, and as objects of preposition. The same thing applies with gerund phrases. That includes the gerund as well as all its modifiers. Now if you look at this example here and you look at the gerund phrase, it should include the gerund as well as all the words that modify it. So I'm going to include also writing for extended periods of time, and we stop just before the verb. So if you look at this phrase, you can notice that this gerund phrase includes 2 embedded prepositional phrases that should be part of the phrase because they function as modifiers. For example, the first instance, the first example of the prepositional phrase, writing for extended periods of time, functions as an adjective, modifying writing, since writing here functions as a noun. And then of course periods of time modifies extended the type of extension. But the whole thing should be part of the phrase, since everything is modifying each other, and in the end they're modifying the gerund phrase, which for instance is noun. Now, of course, gerund phrases start with a gerund, but sometimes it's preceded by an adjective. For example, I can precede the phrase writing for certain periods of time with the adjective pronoun his. So his also should be included in the phrase if it's added before writing. So even though this phrase does not start with a gerund, it's still a gerund phrase, but it's preceded by an adjective, and the adjective should be part of the phrase since modifying the gerund. And if you continue the whole sentence results in improved writing skills. If you look at this, the verbal writing here, it appears that it can be a gerund here, but it's actually not. Here, the function of writing is a participle because it's functioning as an adjective, not as a noun modifying skills. So don't confuse between writing as an adjective and writing as a noun. If it's functioning as a noun, then it's a gerund. If it's functioning as an adjective, then it's a participle modifying a noun or a pronoun. One more thing to point out here is that gerunds and gerund phrases always function as singular, especially if they are subjects. Now, if we look at this example, the subject of the whole sentence is the whole the whole gerund phrase, writing for extended periods of time. And if you look at the verb, it ends with an S, which means that the whole phrase, writing for extended periods of time, functions as a singular subject. Again, all phrases that function as nouns, they are always singular. Now, gerunds and gerund phrases are always modified by possessive nouns or possessive pronouns. Never use an object pronoun before the gerund phrase. For instance, I resent your littering around the room. If you look at the gerund phrase, the gerund phrase is modified by a possessive pronoun. Or, in this case, a possessive pronoun. Never use the object pronoun him to signify modifying. So whenever you see a gerund phrase preceded by an object preposition or an object pronoun, then this sentence is grammatically incorrect, and then you have to fix it and change it into a possessive pronoun.